Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim, and our guest today is Natalie. So Natalie, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us where you live and what you do.
Hi, Dan. Thank you for having me. I am the CEO and founder of Billion Dollar Beauty, located in Irvine, California, Southern California. We started our company almost 21 years ago. We celebrated our 20th anniversary in the cosmetics, consumer product goods side of things, and it's been a journey. So I'm excited to share all the insights with you.
So in terms of Billion Dollar Beauty, can you just tell me just more about your business, like what exactly you guys do and how you got the idea for it?
Yeah, so I was previously a writer, producer. I had big goals and dreams to be a White House correspondent for NBC. So I said, I need to be a White House correspondent for NBC. How do we go about this? I researched. I was a big fan of Brian Williams at the time, who was the NBC news anchor for the White House. And whatever he did, I was going to do. So I followed in his footpaths of being a White House intern. So I started out as a White House intern working as a ghostwriter for President Clinton and the First Lady, Hillary Rodham Clinton, as well. So I got my start in the White House, worked alongside the one and only Monica Lewinsky, and she was my colleague for a good semester. And it was an amazing experience. You know, it's funny because Monica's coming up in the news again, and we don't always talk about what happens to the other interns, but I think I'm one of the success stories that doesn't go into all the other side of the political things. Not to get political, but I think it's always an interesting fact. But the White House taught me a lot about discipline and how it relates to business. And so I'm excited to share how I went from being a journalist and working in reality TV to shooting a documentary about eyebrows and then developing Billion Dollar Beauty, which was formerly known as Billion Dollar Brows, but then is Billion Dollar Beauty. So that's a whole story into itself.
Yeah, so I'm just curious more about that, because it feels like to me you had a sort of a non-conventional story and non-traditional way to kind of, because I think many people kind of start off in this industry that they know this is like what they want to do, but how did you kind of go from working, as an intern and working like in the White House and to actually getting into starting this beauty brand?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of mentorship. I'm a big fan of internships. I don't think you really know what you want to do in life until you start experiencing different facets of any given industry. And so I was given the privilege to have an insider's sneak peek into what goes on behind the scenes at the White House. And I soon realized, while I loved my experience, I loved the ability to write for the president and formulate speeches and letters. It was very, very constricting. And so I'm a little bit more of a free spirit. So I went back to my roots in California, and I was able to tap into a similar network and work on the business side of the news, CNBC. And again, I had great mentors there. Reality TV exploded in 1995, 96. And so my friend's like, talk to my friend. He's starting a show at Paramount Pictures. And so I said, I'll take that job. It was my first paying gig, right? So internships back then didn't pay. And I was broke. I had no money. And so I said, okay, great. I have a job. I have a college degree. I've got some experience. Well, let's see what goes from here. So as I'm working and writing and working my way up in Hollywood, I had access to makeup artists. And so I saw a behind the scenes look at how you can transform anybody's face into being glamorous. And one of the key components to beauty is the algorithm of eyebrows. And so everybody has them. And I saw the transformation on men and women, and it was overwhelming. And so I booked an appointment to have my eyebrows done and also experienced it. And I'm like, there is something here. I don't know what it is. And soon enough, I shot a documentary on my eyebrow artist. We became fast friends. And so seeing that insider's look again, I wasn't a makeup artist. I wasn't a brow beauty junkie. I'm not a cosmetics junkie. I just love the idea of business meets opportunity and the transformation problem solution. And it really gave birth to our first product in the Billion Dollar Brows lineup.
Awesome. So in terms of like launching that first product, did you make it yourself first in the kitchen, or how did you kind of go about like launching and building like that first product and just getting trial out there and getting in front of customers?
Yeah, for sure. I'm all about test kitchen. And so backing up just a smidge before we get into the actual industry itself, I love the idea and the art of selling. So I would do garage sales as a young child, and I'd ask anybody in my neighborhood, do you have anything to sell? And so sure enough, every weekend I'd ask my parents, can we open the garage door? Can I sell products? And so that was my first test kitchen for actually becoming comfortable with the transactional side of business. And then fast forward into the cosmetics industry, I was able to Google, right? Google's everywhere, obviously, but I was able to research very easily how to find a cosmetic chemist. And so when I went online and I found something that spoke to me as far as cosmetics, a chemist in Los Angeles where we started the company, I just took a meeting. I just called them up and I said, I'm curious, is there a chance I can take a meeting with you? I want to launch a brow product that has to help women and men condition their eyebrows. Is there a chance? Oh, absolutely. And so I think initially intimidated about getting into the cosmetics chemistry side of things, but you don't know anything until right? You just got to pick up the phone and call or apply for that internship. And people generally want to help people. And so I think by me having the business experience in selling products to neighbors and understanding the art of business meets launching in a cosmetics industry, which at that time was not crazy busy as it is right now. It was pretty seamless. And again, I think people wanted to help people, and that was my entry point.
For sure. So obviously, I mean, back in 2004, e-commerce was quite different than what it is today. So how did you kind of go about launching at that time? Did you launch on your website? Did you go retail first? What did you kind of do in terms of getting your product out there to the market at first?
Yeah, so 2004 keywords were so super cheap to buy. You could buy the word makeup, beauty, cosmetics for a nickel a click, like crazy prices. And so we launched our website at the time, it was called Miracle Brows. I knew nothing about trademarks, and I just came out with the one product, the brow conditioner. And I soon learned that name was taken, and I had to reinvent myself and strip down the product, but that's a separate story. And we launched billiondolarbrows.com in 2004 with one website, one product. I ordered 5,000 units of a formula that I had tested. When you talk about prototypes, I tested my formula through Craigslist. So Craigslist was very good and very safe at that time. And so I put out an ad and I said, is anybody struggle from thin, over tweezed eyebrows, which is a great business to be in because we're constantly messing with our eyebrows. And so at that time, coming off of the trends in the 90s, which was a very pencil thin eyebrow, I had plenty of inquiries saying, sign me up. Where do I get the product? So I formulated a focus group at a local coffee shop in Los Angeles. And I had women coming to meet with me. I had them fill out a form. And I said, I'm going to come and meet with you here in 1 month. We're going to talk about your experience, take photos. And sure enough, people were seeing results. And so it was very, like you said, homegrown kind of kitchen-based formula, test kitchen. And it felt right. And so I pulled the trigger on this formula. And I had testimonials from these women. I launched the website. And that was it. It was kind of like, let's do this.
That's awesome. So in terms of your business today, right? Because obviously you've been in business for 21 years, as you mentioned, that's a very long time. So do you currently still mostly sell from your website? Do you do retail, other channels? What does that breakdown kind of look like in terms of your biggest sales channel?
Yeah, so we really obviously come a long way in these past 21 years. We launched with one product on one website to going into the professional channel to launching on Amazon. We're now on TikTok. We're on retailers such as Walgreens. We are launching a huge overseas initiative. We're in Japan, Australia, Scandinavia. Currently, we're opening up Israel, Hong Kong. We're very holistic in how we approach our brand, but we're very fortunate that it wasn't, when we started 21 years ago, you could start piecemeal, right? And build your email list and organically. I was in no rush. Now it's like either it hits or it doesn't, and people give up. And I've seen a lot of beauty brands that I'm shocked that they're gone now. But I think because the marketing cost of the side of the business is so expensive, it either clicks with an audience or it doesn't, or you're in the red for a good while before you acknowledge how much money we're going to pour into this before we pull the plug. So we were very fortunate that I'm still writing at the time and producing television while launching the company. And about, I would say 3 years into it, I was able to go full time. And yeah, it just, timing is everything, and that tenacity and having an omni-channel approach, I think, is key to success.
For sure. And do you think that so it seems to me that the way that you approached this was a very meticulous way, right? That you weren't focused on going crazy, spending a bunch of money. You were kind of really focused on profitability and reasonable growth, as opposed to your point, some former competitors that are maybe just no longer around now have focused on growth at all costs, or they were so much in the red and they were forced to shut down, where you've kind of focused like on profitability. Is that pretty accurate, you would say?
Yes, yes. And I grew the line accordingly, right? So now we have over 100 products, including kits in our lineup, which is going from 1 to 100 doesn't happen overnight. But to your point, a lot of brands do expand too quickly or expand too quickly in terms of retail distribution, online distribution. It really was an organic approach. Whether by design, that's to be determined, because I went into this out of passion, right? I still thought, okay, I'm going to go back to journalism. I loved having both, really. But when I knew that this was my livelihood and I was enjoying seeing the transformation and being in the beauty business, I think I let go of that tether a little bit and enjoyed the profitability. But looking back, yeah, I wouldn't do it any other way. I think it is a very strategic, non-strategic approach to what has led to our success.
And do you think it's because you've been around for a while and you have that brand recognition today that you're able to grow? Because obviously you're in a very competitive space. Other, products out there which are very similar to yours. So how do you kind of, differentiate yourself, and especially in channels like retail, which can be challenging, right? Like here, if you're on e-commerce, you can run an ad, you can do a video, you can explain the product, you can tell your story, but retail can be a bit challenging because you can't really be on the shelf explaining like the story to every single customer. So how have you kind of grown like in those channels?
So we were fortunate that we launched before social media. I mean, I think in a lot of ways that was to our success because that's all we knew, right? We had to tell a great story, and that's where I tapped into my storytelling journalism abilities to tell a story without a video. And so picking that copy and choosing that photo, the way that the product is photographed, if it's a woman, a model, how she's holding the product, is the name of the product legible? I mean, all those fine details are captivating, right? That pull you in. And so we didn't have the ability, again, to have that fast media that's in your face all the time. And so now we're able to, I'm still like scratching my head saying, oh my gosh, we're living in this beautiful world where we can tell our story through UGC creators, we can tell our story direct from the founder, and we can tell our stories through static images that make people think and click. And or like you said, in a brick and mortar environment, what is that planogram? What is that display going to tell you? And so for us in Walgreens right now, which we're seeing a huge uptick, we just moved into a 3-tiered shelving unit, and it's skyrocketed from we were on the wall. So we were on the wall in a traditional next to Maybelline CoverGirl, and they said, you know what, we'd like to try you in a new area that's more centered in the beauty. It's like where you can check out for your products and non-traditional, and we've seen a huge uptick. And we're telling our story in a horizontal manner versus a vertical manner. So on the wall it's vertical, and now we're telling it in a 3-tiered story. So it's those little nuances, I think, that make the difference. And trust me, it's taken a year of planning this Walgreens new reset, and we're seeing results from it, and it's exciting.
So in terms of online sales today, do you just kind of focus more kind of organic, or do you run ads? Like how do you kind of grow on that channel?
Yeah, no, today we had a great meeting. I'm a big fan of just people telling their stories. How do you use the product? Because in the beginning, working with makeup artists, it's like, no, the product goes in this direction and then you apply it in this direction. People use products the way they want to use them, right? And so we're all unique. I remember years ago, I was doing a training it was for a salon chain in the Midwest. And I went in there with my Brow Buddy tool. It's a patented tool where you can start arching in your brows and measure and perfection. And I created this, and it was from makeup artists in Beverly Hills and Hollywood. And I thought, oh, everybody's going to love this. It was too soon, too quick, too much, too fast. And they said, oh my gosh, my brow. They weren't used to having a well-crafted brow because what they saw in magazines wasn't attainable. And all of a sudden it was. So you really sometimes have to step back and let people use the products the way that they want to use them and not be as married to the technique that is, being promoted. So that's something that I really enjoy seeing as our products being used the way that people want to use them.
That's awesome. So obviously now we're still in Q1 of 2025. So like you mentioned your new retail launch, but I guess besides that, what are some of your biggest goals and objectives for the rest of this year?
Yeah, no, we have some very big goals. I've touched upon the fact that we're expanding internationally. We see a huge opportunity worldwide. So, crossing over the language barrier of Japan was a huge undertaking, but we've been home in Japan for over close to, I want to say over 10 years now, which is amazing when I think about it. And I've gone out there several times. I've trained, I've done marketing. And so I think having that success and seeing the opportunities that we've had in Australia and Scandinavia and English speaking countries, it's a wide world. And now people are coming to us, asking us to ship product direct from our warehouse. But we want to cut the cost down in terms of shipping. Shipping, right, is the biggest hurdle that most people face in reaching a worldwide audience. So what we're doing is we're investing in the warehouse capabilities in different parts of the world. And we just had that conversation yesterday, and it's happening. And it's very exciting to see that growth. And I think just having the TikTok platform, if it does stay, wonderful, because it's led to our success with the Brow Buddy tool. I think this is a great case in point. You can patent a product, it can be successful in the pro channel. You use it, people love it, but it doesn't scale. It doesn't have that hockey stick. TikTok, somebody picked it up, they used it, and it went viral. And so we're getting tons of orders on this one product that's been sitting, right? Well, we'll order 5,000 here, 5,000 here. And now it's like, is this product in stock? Like we're on our emails and our phone to make sure that we're getting this in our warehouse because we can't keep it in stock. And so it really is fun to see all these different platforms playing off of each other. And something we talk about all the time, people find the product where they find it. And so we constantly invest if we're doing charity events or we do New York City Fashion Week, we do LA Fashion Week, Swim Week, Miami. And while we're giving away the products to VIPs and people who come through and behind the scenes runway, people discover the product the way they want to discover it, and they'll find it. And if it's Amazon, if it's direct to consumer, if it's TikTok, that's really a beautiful thing, a holistic approach.
So obviously you've been doing this, as you mentioned earlier, for 21 years. So if you could go back in time to before you got started, what is the one biggest piece of advice that you wish you knew?
I think about that because I don't have any regrets. It's funny, I was talking to my husband the other day and he's like, the word regret, or somebody mentioned, I go, I don't have any regrets. I don't have any regrets because I just don't believe in thinking about the past and woulda, shoulda, coulda. I've never been a woulda, shoulda person. I really approach each day as an opportunity and look forward to the future. And I don't focus on stress about the future either. I project, I plan, but I really try to live in the moment. I think if anything, I would talk to my younger self and say, just enjoy the journey and remind myself that, what I believe in now is like every day is an opportunity and success is only what you put into it. So every day is another chance to achieve success.
Really good advice. So if somebody watching this wanted to find your business or wanted to reach out to you, do you mind sharing your website or social media, I guess, best ways to get in contact?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So my Instagram handle personally is just my name, Natalie, Natalie, Plain, Plain. And then our company Instagram handle is Billion Dollar Brows, TikTok, Billion Dollar Beauty. So either between those two platforms, and Facebook as well. So those are our three major platforms. And yeah, personally reach out. And I'm coming out with a book that's called The Plain Truth About Building a Billion-Dollar Business. So I don't want to give you quite a date on that, but I am excited to share the 7 pillars to what I believe is success. And it starts with ideation to execution and everything in between, which is financial, legal, warehousing, logistics, and product development. So not in that order, but it doesn't have to be difficult. So I'm excited for anybody who wants to reach out and ask questions.
Awesome. Well, Natalie, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to speaking with anybody soon and sharing my story again.